sideways on an extremely blustery and rainy February afternoon. Now, this week we're talking about the small matter of how we find meaning in our lives. We hear an extraordinary excuse for the illegal possession of drugs. I get a tremendous kick out of Martin being mistaken for a pensioner. We both feel grateful for bowel cancer tests. And I almost get crushed under a Land Rover. Purpose.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, in fine fettle, sir. In fine fettle, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not bad.
Any sneezing or colds?
No, I think I'm all right at the moment. Yeah.
Pretty fit?
Yeah, it's although it's never got me down over my journey through the 100-day cold. It's it doesn't seem to be. I haven't got any sniffles or anything anymore, so I'm all in good shape.
It's got the rest of us down, having to listen to you moaning on about it all the time.
Well, it's only when you bring it up I actually mention it. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, you're in good shape, are you, mate? Oh,
I'm all right.
It's a bit rainy out there, and you've been out walking the dogs getting wet.
Yeah, I had to be in full waterproofs this morning.
Did you?
Yeah. I mean, you may not have been awake at that hour.
Probably not. It depends what hour that was, but
about 7.
No. I was still a kip then, certainly.
Yeah, it was very, very, very wet. Yeah, but that's okay. You know, the upside of it being incredibly wet is that there's not much in the way of other people walking around.
True, and I know you like to avoid crowds at all costs.
I like the solitude of on a walk. I like that. It's nice.
And I suppose taking the dogs out every day, it gives you a sort of a sense of purpose, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. What is it you want to talk about this week, I wonder?
I wanted to talk about the importance of purpose.
Ah,
yeah.
Excellent.
So it wasn't that clunky of a segue, really, was it?
I think it only appeared clunky to me because I knew what you wanted to talk about. Well, I suspect other people who didn't know would probably wouldn't have batted an eyelid.
They think, they're professional, those lads.
Well, I don't know if I go that far.
We're young enough still to be called lads. We're not really, are we?
Well, I think by an octogenarian.
Yeah, quite.
Probably we would be, wouldn't we?
True.
By a Second World War veteran, we could be called lads, couldn't we?
We're whippersnappers, aren't we? To them. But yeah, the importance of purpose.
Yeah.
And this was a discussion point that came up in groups recently, and it has done over the years.
Oh.
And it's an important topic, really. Certainly in the early stages of recovery, after we spent years, and in my case, decades, in a purposeless wilderness, as it were.
Your only purpose was getting to the offie for another bottle of vodka, wasn't it?
That was it. And it's not great, is it? It's not a great purpose to have.
It's not the sort of thing that's likely to keep you feeling happy and balanced, is it?
Not really.
No.
Not really. When I was writing down purposeless wilderness, I thought I'm going to have trouble saying that. I think I've got through it okay.
You've done well. You've said it twice now without missing a beat.
I was thinking it's almost like one of those names for if you was to name a group that was going to sing sort of morose sort of songs, that would be a great name for them, wouldn't it?
The Purposeless Wilderness.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sound sort of 60s, 70s, slightly psychedelic.
Yeah, they probably were. Or, I was thinking more perhaps Leonard Cohen-y with that sort of morose undertone, elbow, Morrissey.
I think Morrissey. Yeah, okay, Morrissey. Yeah,
he could be the lead singer of Purposeless Wilderness, couldn't he? Don't
go start making a second supergroup.
No, okay, no, we don't. No,
let's stick to the one we've got with Vangelis.
Anyway, before we start getting onto this, because it's an important issue, this purpose. I just wanted to say that, and it is relevant to what we've been talking about over the years since we've been doing
relevant for everyone.
It is relevant for everyone, but particularly with addiction as well. But we'll come on to that in a second, because just before we start, and it's something we mentioned in our last week's recording, which was about a clip you sent me. I think it was a little TikTok video, wasn't it?
It was,
from an American TV news program.
Yeah.
And the report contained probably one of the weakest excuses I think both you and I have ever heard for someone who's come to be in possession of illegal drugs.
Yeah, I thought it showed great creativity.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't think the law enforcement agents felt that, but the story was that a lady was pulled over in her car by police, and during a search was found to have bags of cocaine and marijuana in her handbag. Actually, it said in her purse. I mean, the Americans call
that's a handbag, isn't it?
We call it a handbag. I mean, a purse to us in the UK is a little sachet you put your money in, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, a purse would reside within the handbag.
It would, yes. So we're stick with handbag at the moment, just because I'm more familiar with that. So they found these bags of cocaine and marijuana, all neatly packaged up in her handbag. And she said that it was a windy day, and the bags must have blown through her open window and into her handbag. Yeah, she's currently facing charges, so it didn't really fool the policeman.
Oh dear. I mean, it tickled me because I thought that shows some, as I said, some creativity in terms of thinking up that excuse. But what seemed even more bizarre to me was that she might think that anybody would believe it. Who's going to believe that? I mean, unless she dreamed up because she was off her head anyway.
Well, that's what went through my mind. She thought in a bizarre fashion there, and it was never going to fly, was it?
No, it wasn't going to fly like the cocaine and marijuana did through the air on a windy day.
What neat little bags ready for distribution.
Did you ever try that?
What, as an excuse? As
an excuse for being in possession of anything you shouldn't have been?
No, I don't think. I've never been caught in possession of drugs, that's for sure.
I think you ever say...
Didn't you and I got searched, didn't we, on occasions?
We did, by the police, didn't we?
By the police,
I think it was in the doorway of British Home Stores, wasn't it, or Littlewoods?
Littlewoods, I think. Yeah, I think it was. It's because we'd been frequenting a particular pub in Maidstone that was well known for that sort of thing, and so by association, we got pulled over and searched.
Yeah, what I didn't like about that though was they weren't honest, were they? They didn't say we're looking for drugs. They said we're looking for weapons, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah, I do. Implements for burglary, they said as well, didn't they? And then they were looking in their wallets. Yeah.
What did they expect to find in there? A collapsible hammer or something?
Well, I don't know. I just remember having to try and calm you down at the time. You were particularly irate with the whole.
You were worried I was going to get us put in the choker overnight.
Absolutely, yeah. And I hadn't long been. Spent a night in Chokey, so I knew I knew the horrors of it.
Oh, I don't like injustice; it upsets me.
Absolutely right, but we managed to walk free in the end, I think, on that one. Yes, so that was. I thought that was quite. It did make me laugh when you sent me that clip through.
Yeah, I thought you'd like it.
It did make me chuckle. But going back to our subject matter,
yeah,
I like a definition, and the dictionary defines purpose as the reason for which something exists or is done, made, or used. And I looked up further because, according to the researcher William Damon, now he wrote a book called A Path to Purpose. I don't know whether you're familiar with it or not, but he sees it as a stable and generalized intention to accomplish something that is at the same time meaningful to the self and consequential for the world beyond the self. Do you think that's true? Does our purpose always have to have impact outside of our own self?
Oh, well, no, that feels to me a bit prescriptive. If you feel as if your sense of purpose is, I don't know, your collection of dinky toys, and that's what gets you up in the morning, keeps you happy, and it's not doing any damage to anyone else. I think who are we to say that that's not a reasonable sense of purpose? I think it's probably more common and quite nice if your sense of purpose has a wider positive impact. But I don't think it's reasonable for someone to prescribe that and say that's not purpose if it's not having a positive impact on the rest of the world. No.
That was when I was reading that was my thought exactly. I mean, it's nice if it does have an impact as a consequence of it helping yourself, that's for sure. But it goes on to say that meaningful intention can help you stay focused on the things that matter most to you, which is fair enough, like family, friends, faith, career, etc. but it helps you to prioritize your life, allowing you to walk away from certain people or activities that don't serve your purpose. It's a main driver to stay motivated to when things get tough, so you can set and meet short and long-term goals. And most of all, it comes onto it again here, it makes you feel like you're making a real difference in the world, which is, again, I didn't think that was particularly relevant, but I thought I'd ask your opinion on it, and you've already passed one which coincided with mine.
I mean, when, to feel as if we are making some sort of contribution to the society in which we live, I think is a driving force for people. So I think that's probably, where it comes from. One could argue that it might be hard for us to find a sense of purpose without it having some sort of meaningful impact. But I'm not sure, I'm not sure you could say, oh, you can't have a sense of impact, a sense of purpose if it's not, maybe, for example, maybe you see your sense of purpose as this thing and you do contribute to society in some way, but you don't see that as your fundamental purpose. I mean, I don't,
No, I agree. And it's just when I was looking at this in context of recovery, when we first go into recovery, the purpose we have, it's just to stay sober from day to day effectively, but the purposes that we have there tend to be self-centric or less, has less impact elsewhere. But we encourage that to be self-centered at that point and to be.
Well, I suppose the other way you can look at that is to say, if you go into recovery and your sense of purpose is just to stay sober and it's very centered on yourself, which of course it is, then one could argue that does have an impact more widely. It has an impact on your friends and family.
Absolutely.
It has an impact on society.
Yeah.
So, I suppose viewed like that, one could probably say that pretty much any purpose, if it makes you feel happy and live a sustainable life, then it does have a kind of wider positive impact anyway, doesn't it?
It does. That's not the intention of the purpose when you're setting out, but you're right, absolutely right. It has an impact beyond their self, which is nice, and it does give a sense of well-being as well when you can see that in action. But I looked up also when I was doing the research about why it's important to have a purpose, which is really the thrust of what I wanted to talk about. There's just a few points that came up. The first reason why it's important to have a purpose or set of goals is it gives increased optimism, resiliency, and hope, which is straightforward, I suppose. It gives you something to aim for, doesn't it? And certainly when you can see in recovery, when you can see other people walking the walk, it gives you hope that you can do it too. And your purpose is to emulate that, which again I'll come on to.
Yeah. If you've got a sense of purpose, then you have a sense of direction, don't you?
You do, and apparently you experience joy, happiness, and satisfaction more often.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true. I mean, I've worked with lots of people who, one of the things that they struggle with is not having a sense of purpose.
Yes.
They feel as if they're not sure what their life's for, what they are for, and that's an anxious place to be. Because it's hard for you to work out, well, what is it that I want to be doing? What is it that I ought to be doing? What's the point of me? And so I think it naturally follows that if you feel a sense of purpose, you're definitely going to experience less anxiety and more happiness.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because it comes on to say you have both better physical and mental health if you have purpose, or you have a sense of purpose. That it can do that. And another point said a lower risk of death. I don't quite know what it meant by that because it didn't go into it. But I suppose.
I suppose if you're emotional and your physical health is better, then your chances of dying reduce. I mean, What did it say? Did you say? Just repeat that again.
It was just a lower risk of death.
Right. Okay. Death is going to happen, isn't it? It doesn't matter how much purpose you've got. Death's coming for you.
There's always a risk of that to everyone. 100% risk.
Yeah, that's right.
Literally.
Not only is it a risk, it is a certainty.
Certainty. We know it's going to happen at some point. But having a purpose before you reach that point, I think, is nice, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And actually, in a funny sort of way, for a lot of people, if you really have a strong sense of purpose, I imagine it probably makes you feel a little bit less fearful of death.
I think
If you
it does.
feel as if your role is clear in your life and that to some extent you have fulfilled it, you're less likely to get to the end of your life thinking, well, hang on, I haven't finished. I haven't done what I was put here for. I don't even know what it is. That feels to me as if that would be quite an anxious place to be in.
Yeah, it would be. And I suppose that for those of a religious persuasion, feel it is just a stepping stone to the afterlife. And I suppose that takes away some of the anxiety. Although I don't particularly subscribe to that, I know it brings a lot of comfort to a lot of people, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
That it's important to make sure that they're shipshape and ready for the next chapter after you pass on.
Well, in a sense, that sort of your attitude to spirituality is one level deeper than purpose in terms of consciousness, I think, because your attitude to spirituality will probably impact how you see purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
If you believe that you've come from nothing and you're going to nothing, then your purpose will be defined by specifically what you do here.
Absolutely.
Whereas if you do believe you've come from something and you're going to somewhere else, that will have an impact on how important you think this bit is, won't it?
It does, which is why I try to stick very much in the moment, don't think beyond the realm we're in at the moment. But it goes on to say about it's important also because it helps you become more engaged if you're in your workplace, which is true, or as a student. It mentioned as well, obviously, because you've got purpose. I know when we're at school, there's only one purpose, really, that's to get through the exams, isn't it?
I was thinking it was to get home for your tea. That's the
only. It was to get home, or to play football. So you get your homework done, get out and play football at the backfield.
Yeah, I don't think at school, I had a sense of purpose at school. I think my only sense of purpose at school was get to the weekend.
Yeah.
It's difficult to remember now, but I don't think I like school very much. I think I found school quite regimented, too restrictive, too boring, and not very inspiring. So I don't think I derived a sense of purpose from it at all.
I agree. It was a necessary nuisance to try and get a few exams under your belt. That was it. The rest of it was horrible.
Yeah.
But, anyway, there's another study I was looking at that showed people who lack purpose are more likely to have drink and drug issues, and have a higher likelihood of having mental health issues as well.
Definitely.
So, going back to the importance of it, you're almost cutting it off at the pass there, early doors, if you do have purpose.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have any purpose, then that is quite an existential threat, isn't it?
It is.
If you really are thinking, what am I here for? What is the point of me? Then you can see how that leads directly to depression and stress and anxiety, and how you might want to block out those feelings with drink and drugs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can see that. And the same study was going on to say that those that find purpose in recovery are much more likely to remain sober. So it's a really important issue for recovery to have purpose.
I think that's why, and we've spoken about this before, I think that's why in peer support, when you get people involved in running groups and
absolutely,
so on, you're helping to create for them a sense of purpose within that community, aren't you?
Yeah, you are absolutely right, and I'll come on to that. I do touch on that slightly in a moment, but it is a very good point. I mean, I was looking because I quite like some of the philosophies of Buddhism, and there Buddhism does suggest that it's easier to find purpose after hardship, which fits neatly with recovery, because people that come into recovery have been through some pretty bad times at that point. So there's a basis from which you can start to find purpose. Well, you find purpose in much smaller things at that point as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
On a different, you ratchet it differently.
Yes,
starting from a different base.
So as I haven't done it for a few weeks, here's a book recommendation for Jez.
Oh, okay,
He can go out and buy this if he hasn't already read it.
Yeah.
So in answer to that point, the joy of finding purpose in very difficult circumstance. There's a book by Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning, and that's worth a read. It's a classic if you're into this sort of stuff. But I think he was in a concentration camp. He was a Jew.
Okay.
And so finding a sense of purpose in a concentration camp must be quite difficult.
Just staying alive.
Exactly, yeah. But it's a great read. It's only quite a little book, but a great one.
Well, Jez has got something. He does get caught up in these things, doesn't he?
He does. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised if he's on the internet now ordering it.
As we speak, yeah. Just getting back to the to what we're talking about there. There was when we're in for many of us in early recovery, as we said, our purpose is just not to drink or take drugs for that day. But as you begin to get a little bit of sober time, and this is something in fact come up in the meeting yesterday, when you get a bit of a sober time, you notice you almost get this. There's something more to life than just staying sober. There's something still missing. You get this. We've talked about it in the past about you get this sort of pink fluffy cloud of joy when you first go into recovery, and then it plateaus out. And it's at that point you start to think, where's my next stage? And it's at that point we tend to start to search for purpose. And it is something that comes up quite a lot. And when we tend to try and drip feed purpose in at that point, I think it tends to work better. There's an old saying, you look after a plant, then a pet, then a person. So it gives you purpose of looking after. You've had trouble looking after yourself for many years. So just looking after something simple like a plant, then perhaps a pet, and then later on going into a relationship. So it's a path which gives you a sense of purpose. I mean, personally, I began to find purpose when relationships started to improve with my family and my friends. I think but also, as you said earlier on, when I started to facilitate at groups. And then I went on to help to set up the Aspire to Be charity and then embark on a new career and then starting to do things like this, the podcast. So I think the point of that, I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet at this point, but I'm just saying purpose is not a fixed point. It's and I'll use the word journey at this stage as well. So purpose can change, it can evolve. It's not something you have one purpose and that's it. Things come alongside.
It's bound to, isn't it? Even if the fundamental purpose is the same, what the shape of it will be changing all the time.
Yeah.
So, for example, if your sense of purpose comes from raising your children, then there will be a point at which they have left home and become adult. So, yes, you might be faced then with thinking about, well, hang on, what am I for now? And actually, a lot of people do struggle with that. So I think one of the reasons why a lot of people struggle when their kids leave home and they find themselves at this point in their life and they think, what now? Because they've been putting so much of their focus into one part of their life. So I think you're right that finding some sort of breadth and variety in terms of what gets you up in the morning, makes you feel like you're worth something is really important.
It is. And I think people do find that void sometimes when they retire as well, don't they?
Yeah, my dad did. I just watched him go downhill when he retired.
Yeah, because the purpose suddenly drains away, doesn't it?
Yeah. So the more, the more kind of strings you can have to your bow, the better it is.
Absolutely right.
That's why I chose a profession that I can basically do sitting down, because theoretically I can just do it until I die.
Do you on your very last legs?
That's right. That'd be a shame for the client that I'm with on the day that I draw my last breath in the midst of a session.
Yeah, because you can't say that week at that point. I'll see you next week because you're not going to.
No, that's right. I could sort of traumatise my client.
You could. So you're on the other side, dude. But when my own experience again, and dovetailing that with some of the research that I did, there's some things that we can help some tools that we can help to find a little bit of purpose. And this is something we talk about in early recovery as well, or in various stages of recovery. We always often encourage people to engage in voluntary work, like I did with the facilitator and stuff, or charity work. I know quite a lot of people dip their toe back into the employment market by doing some voluntary work for charities, like the charity shops and that sort of thing. And it's quite a nice, easy way. You can do it part-time. There's no pressure. It eases your way back in, but it starts to build this sense of purpose, which I think is really important. We also encouraged re-engaging in hobbies. that you've perhaps let go, or indeed starting up new ones, in art, music, sport, etc. In fact, one of the people I knew used to come to groups. I haven't seen him for a while now, but his purpose really took off when he he got himself an allotment.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it ticked a lot of boxes for him, and it was fantastic. There's obviously quite a nice element of solitude, but out in nature, growing stuff, seeing the rewards coming through his various vegetables he's growing. So allotment, I think, is a great idea if you can get hold of them. Well, they're quite tricky to get hold of. But,
I mean, even if you can't get an allotment, just growing something in a window box.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or if you're fortunate enough to have a garden in your garden, because, as you were saying earlier, at its root, that's about taking care of something.
It is, yeah.
And so when you've moved that sort of attention away from keeping yourself afloat to recognizing that you can have a positive impact on the world around you, then I think that is when purpose starts to take hold. I think when people think about purpose, it doesn't have to be something massive. It can be something quite seemingly, simple and mundane. It's about what you feel and how it contributes to your sense of feeling as if you're deserving of your place in the world.
Absolutely right.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. No, I agree. Which feeds nicely into the next point, because quite a few people that I've seen over the years, they do start to engage in study again, which again is something which sadly lack. Often in mental health issues or addiction counselling or something like that, you get this feeling that I know something about this because I've lived it, and I'm going to have a crack at putting some sort of shape to it and perhaps forging a career going forward.
Well, that's good for a number of reasons, one of which being you are turning something that was potentially catastrophic in your life to common good. So if you can use terrible, it's like we were saying earlier, if you can use really difficult, challenging experience and turn it round and make it into something positive, then, that will probably provide you with quite a solid sense of purpose.
Enormous purpose. You're right. Blogging, which came up as well on the list there, which people start to do blogging or podcasts.
Yeah.
It's we're not the only ones doing this, are we? People have come over from recovery.
No, it's sad we're not the only. It was sad we're not the only people doing this, because we'd probably get more listeners if we were.
We would. We're obviously the best.
The thing about stuff like podcasts and blogging, though, and I agree, I think they're potentially great forms of being able to kind of process the way you've thought about stuff and use it for good. But I think the difficulty with things like that is that quite often people get into them because they think they like the idea of it, but then they find that actually it's quite hard work.
Yeah, quite. No, I can understand.
So I think when you're sort of taking on something like that, you need to think about what your reasons are for doing it. Am I doing this because I really feel that I need to say something, that I want to communicate this, regardless of who listens? Or am I doing this because I want people to, like what I write and listen to what I write? And there's a fine line between that. I think you have to, if you do stuff like that, you have to do it because you want to do it, not because you want lots of people to start following you and listening to you.
Which I think when we started this up, we went exactly down that line, didn't we? It didn't really matter if we had no listeners.
Exactly. We went into this with exactly, I think, the right attitude for that sort of stuff. We didn't have any aspiration.
No.
We did it because we wanted to do it. And, I suppose you can apply that to anything in your life. If you do something because you want to, you're not really going to be disappointed, are you?
No, you're not. And there's another point, was reading, not just studying, but reading novels, which is something which we sadly lose the ability to do when we're in active addiction. Trying to read a book, you just get to the end of the first page, you've forgotten what's at the top of the page, and it creates anxiety just trying to think, I should be reading this book. It's probably a good novel, but I can't get past the first page. So if you're in recovery and you're getting back into reading, or perhaps you're even getting into reading for the first time, what do you think? What is that kind of saying to you about yourself as you see yourself? I've got through a chapter there, or I finished a book. What does that do for you as a recovering addict? It boosts your morale. It boosts your feeling of self-worth, that you can actually do these things, and the joy you get from reading is immense anyway, isn't it? We have people that are avid readers, that come to groups once they get to have some sobriety behind them and become really engrossed in them.
So I think that's a kind of form of purpose that shouldn't be overlooked, which is having an enjoyable life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
you know, there's nothing wrong with
enough.
that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Say I'm trying to enjoy my time here, expand my mind, learn new things, have new experiences. That's okay. You're allowed to do that, you know.
Yeah. And the last couple of points one was again, when you're trying to find purpose, would be to look to the people you admire. It doesn't have to be famous people, but you can get aspiration from those around you, or inspiration.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we've spoken about this before, but I think that's a good one. Kind of modelling behaviours that you see in other people, I think, is really important. It's certainly important in recovery, isn't it?
It is, which is the basis of how peer support works, really, and how you see people come through the system and do take on responsibility. So you're absolutely right. Yes. The last point was cultivate positive emotions like awe and gratitude.
Oh, okay. Nice. You're getting better with these little links.
I'm learning to put them in the right. That wasn't it. When I was doing the research, it was further up the list. So I thought that'd be ideal at the end.
Yeah, gratitude is. I think gratitude's good because it's you know, you're kind of reminding yourself why life is worthwhile.
Yeah.
And why there's a purpose to it. And actually, the more that you notice, again, we discussed this. The more you notice gratitude, the more you tune yourself into it. The smaller the things that you see, and you know, that again, that just builds your sense of belief in the value of life and your place in it.
It does, yeah, and a positive emotion like awe. I was trying to think, how does that work? But there is awe wherever you find it, really. I mean, you don't just have to look up into the night sky to feel awe, although I do. When you do look up there, it is. I
always get it from listening to the birds.
Yeah, absolutely right. Out in nature, you're going to get it, aren't you?
In early, I mean, it's happened a couple of times this week. So just walking out early in the morning in the park or in the woods or whatever, it's like a cacophony.
I like that word.
It's just amazing. It's just amazing. And I always think to myself, God, I can't imagine anyone could be anything other than, you know, stuck in a sense of wonder at this. It's lovely, but that's not on my gratitude list.
No, well, I mean, but it is on the recording of your intro each week. Often you're out amongst the birds, and that's not a soundtrack you're putting on. You're actually doing it live, aren't you? Outside.
I'm doing it live. They are new birds every week. Well, they might be the same birds, but they're singing different songs.
Yes, which leads us nicely onto our gratitude list.
Right, I've got 2 this week.
Yeah, I've got 3. Oh. I'll just usurp you.
All right. Well, my 2, the first one is I was grateful. I forgot to mention this before. I could have mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. I was grateful for one night, a couple of weeks ago, we went to see Maidstone play. And I was very grateful for not only that when you got to the turnstile, it was assumed that you were an old age pensioner, but also I was grateful for the fact you told me, because it gave me great joy and really made me laugh. And whenever I think about it, it makes me chuckle, particularly when I bring to my mind the ticket with concession written on it that you
done it. Well, when the girl said concession, sir, and I was taken aback, I said yes. So I got me a couple of quid off. So it's my first concession ever, and I'm all right with that.
Yeah, you then spent one of your quids on my cup of tea, which was very kind.
I did.
So I was grateful for that, because that gave me one of those little humorous moments that are always lovely. And the second thing I'm grateful for is the England cricket team's middle order.
Well, you're going to have to expand on that for those of us who don't know as much about cricket as you do.
Right, so the middle of the batting order, which is where the sort of you'd expect the engine room of your runs to come. Okay. They're absolutely woeful at the moment.
Are they?
And so they're so bad that I haven't been tempted to spend any time watching the cricket, and I've been able to get on with other things. So there's a proper reframe for you.
There is, isn't there?
But the England cricket team is so bad at the moment that they've spared me having to watch them and released me to go and do other things that might be more useful.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good. That is a good reframing.
Yeah.
The things I've got on my list, I only have one before I sat down this morning, really. But there's a couple that since I did my notes on Thursday evening, a couple of extra bits that come up. The first one was it's always lovely. I'm very grateful when my youngest daughter comes to visit me. She lives down in Surrey, so I don't get to see her as often as I would like. But she came around and bought some fish and chips as well from the chippy.
Oh, lovely.
Hey, doesn't get better than that, does it?
No, that's excellent. Very nice.
So that was on my gratitude list.
What did you have? Did you have cod and chips?
No, actually, I had chicken and mushroom pie, since you asked.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's slightly disappointing, but anyway, carry on.
The second item on my gratitude list, which again came up last night, was a confirmation I got a ticket to the next Maidstone away game in the FA Cup away at Coventry on the 23rd of February, Monday night.
It's the 26th, actually.
Is it the 26th, whenever it is? So going up to Coventry then, which would be great. All the allocation of Maidstone tickets, 4,800 have been sold. So it's going to be
really?
Yes, it's
amazing.
A decent away crowd.
That's nice.
I was grateful to Dickie for getting me a ticket again.
Very good. I hope you have a lovely time.
Well, I'm sure we will.
I shall be watching it on the television.
Yeah, I know it's being covered, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The last one was a little bit strange, but bowel cancer tests. All right.
Oh, interesting. I could have had that on my gratitude list a few months ago.
Have you had your kit come through?
Yeah, it came through in the middle of last year, I think. I sent it back. Anyway, go on, you tell me your...
Yeah, no, I'm just grateful that it comes through. It's something you can do at home.
Yeah.
That's a bit tricky to get the little bit of sample.
Let's not go into any detail.
Absolutely right. That's why I was glossing over it. But I think I was grateful that the system is in place where they can monitor that from the comfort of your own home, and you don't have to go up and get invasive cameras stuck in places. But you know what I'm saying, don't you?
It's not that difficult to get the sample, is it? You have a little. It's like a.
And we're not going into
one of those little spoons you used to have in an ice cream tub. I don't think that's that difficult. Well, but yes, I got mine last week. So have you sent yours back now?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, have you had the result back?
No.
Right, so that was the thing, because when I got the result back, that's when I thought, oh, I'm grateful for that. Because whenever you have a test like that, you always think, oh, God, I wonder what, I hope it comes back all right. And then when the letter came back or something, I thought, oh, here we go. And so that's when I felt the gratitude, when I opened the letter and saw that I didn't have to be screened again for a couple of years.
Yeah, but I think you should be grateful either way.
Well, I'm grateful. Yeah, I'm grateful.
If it comes back positive, at least, but hopefully they picked up early enough and get it sorted out. So
yeah, that's a very sensible way of thinking about it. Thank you for that reframe.
No problem at all. Yeah. So that's it. So I've had some good elements of gratitude this week.
Yeah, that's very good. Well done.
So the 100 skills off of that list you sent me, 100 skills every person should master.
Yeah.
This week was a change a flat tyre.
Oh, okay. That's a more sensible one.
It is a sensible one, isn't it? It's more,
I think
better than some of the others we've had.
Yeah, I think you should know how to change a flat tyre. But I will tell you, though, on one occasion when I had a Land Rover, I didn't realise this at the time, but I got a flat in my Land Rover, and obviously that's a big old vehicle.
Yeah.
And I jacked it up and it collapsed.
Oh, wow.
Fell off the jack.
Okay, now that is dangerous.
Whilst I got the wheel off. So had I been anywhere underneath it, we wouldn't be doing this podcast.
No,
that would have crushed me. And then, so I had to call the AA out, and they said, oh, no, these jacks they put with these cars, they're not man enough to get them up.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. So I know how to change a wheel, but I wouldn't, if I had to change a wheel on a Land Rover again, I'd be calling the AA.
I can see the headline now, Landy crushed by Landy. That'd be great. That works, doesn't it?
Landy run over, it would have said, wouldn't it?
I think it is important. It is important. But again, you're right. I remember I had an Audi at one, an Audi convertible, which I got a flat tyre. I pulled over the side of the road, went to to put the spare on, and I couldn't undo the nuts on the wheel. They're on there so tight. I had to get the AA out to come and do that. And they even said, I mean, I don't know who's put these on there, but it's very tight. So it was, even though I knew how to do it, I wasn't able to progress it.
My sister had a tyre changed once on her yellow Chevette, Vauxhall
Let's
Chevette.
go back a bit.
And the wheel came off when she was driving away from the...
Wow.
Village. She saw it rolling past her.
It overtook her, did it?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, definitely a skill to master, I think, changing a wheel.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, on this day in music, but in which year?
Right. Yeah, I can't do worse than last week, so the pressure's
You got
off.
0 last week. And I think Lizzie said
got
you got 0.
As well, didn't she?
She got 0.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the first one, a number 1 in the UK.
Yeah.
What year was Kylie Minogue? I Should Be So Lucky.
Oh, crikey, that's really tough. That's really difficult.
Well, I didn't realise when I was looking this up, she's released 96 singles.
Really?
96. Yeah, that included sort of collaborations and some of the charity ones and stuff. But yeah, this one, I Should Be So Lucky, was the second single she released after Locomotion.
Yeah, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get this woefully wrong. I think I'm going to go 1990.
Oh, 1988. So you're 2 years out, mate. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Hitting the post again.
You know what? I was going to go 88, but I thought, I'm not sure it was the 80s.
Go with your gut feeling, son.
Yeah, you've told me that before, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Do you know when Ali Campbell from UB40 was born? He was born on the 15th of Feb. Do you know which year? I mean, they've been around since we were kids, haven't they?
Yeah, he's got to be older than me. I'm going. This is the year that came into my head.
Okay.
I'm going 1958.
Oh, you get a point. It's 59. So you're in there. So you went with your gut feeling on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Right. That's a point. I can relax now.
And to go into our super group, we've got Bon Scott from AC/DC.
Oh my God.
Now
There's going to be some. There's going to be some rucks over the lead vocal, isn't there? In this band?
Isn't there? Yeah. You've got to. We've got to shepherd them, shepherd the musicians well. But he died on the 19th of February at the age of 33. Bless his heart. 33.
33. Was he only 33?
He's only 33. So it might give you a bit of a clue as to what year we're looking at here.
It doesn't really. This is tricky for me.
33.
I'm going to go 1983.
Just outside 1980.
That's not too bad. Not too bad. Those were quite tricky this week.
They were quite tricky. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Lizzie would have got any points on that.
I can see you. I mean, that's their super group now. There are some serious drug and alcohol problems in that band. I mean, I don't know how you're going to get them on tour. I really don't.
No, you'd have trouble controlling them. We control them with drugs and drinks.
All we need now is John Bonham to turn up.
Oh, well,
big trouble.
We'll get him in, I'm sure, at some point. We'll have an anniversary of his death.
I reckon he died in about 79 anyway, John Bonham, maybe 1980.
Yeah, it's going to be around about that time, isn't it?
Should we have a look?
Should we have a look anyway? Yeah. I won't put him on the list in future.
No, you can't now. What did I say, 79 or 80? What do you reckon? Do you reckon there?
I reckon it was 78.
It was 1980.
Was it?
Yeah. So I got bloody 2 points there.
There you go.
But it wouldn't come round till September anyway, so.
No, you might have forgotten by then.
Probably.
I won't risk it. Okay, mate.
See you later.
Bye. Bye.
Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandy-wellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.